Okay, so now we're getting into the nuts and bolts. We're getting into the good stuff. How to write a competitive offer. First thing you need to know is the two different types of offers, right? You have an unconditional offer and you have a conditional offer. Now, a conditional offer is just as it sounds. It's conditional. There are certain things that need to be done before that deal becomes what we call firm. So if your offer is conditional on financing, if your offer is accepted, the deal isn't firm yet, right? Your offer has been accepted, but it's not a legal contract for purchase until you satisfy that finance condition, right? And then there's unconditional offers. An unconditional offer is just as it sounds as well, unconditional. There are no conditions on this offer. That means if you submit an unconditional offer and it is accepted by the sellers, that deal is firm immediately. You have purchased that house. You're contractually obligated to close on that deal. Now, of course, in this crazy market, an unconditional offer, all cash, well above list price is the easiest way to win a bidding war. If you're fortunate enough to be in a situation where you can write that kind of offer, then you're gonna see pretty fast success in this market. Now, in all reality, that's not an option for most people. So we're gonna kind of lean a little more on how to write a good offer, a competitive offer, if you have conditions. The idea here is to write an offer that you're comfortable with the least amount of friction for the sellers. The idea is to make their life as easy as possible. Okay, so before we get into tips on how to write a competitive offer, I think it's important to go through the main components of an offer. Now, an offer to purchase in Manitoba is a very long, 4-page, potentially intimidating looking contract, but there are only a couple really key parts. Now, depending on your transaction, obviously there can be a lot more than just a couple key parts, but we're talking about typical transactions with relatively clean offers here. So the first thing, the money, of course, right? The total purchase price, the deposit, the down payment, and the amount taken as a mortgage. The deposit is probably the most asked about part of the money. A lot of buyers don't really understand it, what it is, why it's there. The deposit is your good faith money. This is the money that you're willing to put on the line to say, this is how serious I am about purchasing this house. So the more you can put in your deposit, the better. Now, your deposit makes up part of your down payment. So it's not additional money, but it's money that you're putting on the line saying, hey, I want this house. I'm not gonna walk away from this deal. If I do walk away from this deal, this is how much I'm willing to leave on the table. So the way the deposit works is, let's say your deposit is $20,000, right? That goes with your offer. Now that's part of your down payment. Say your total down payment is $100,000. You put $20,000 as a deposit. You have $80,000 remaining as your down payment. Now, if you satisfy all your conditions and that deal becomes firm, that deposit is held in trust. Now, if you decide 3 weeks before possession, hey, you know what? I don't really like that house anymore. I kind of like this other one. I'm gonna buy this other one. You will lose that $20,000. That money goes away, right? That is your good faith money. Now, that rarely happens because when you're purchasing a house, you're putting a nice solid deposit. Normally the winning bid has a nice solid deposit, right? So you can understand from a seller's perspective, being on the other side of the table, if you have two offers, both for the same amount of money, same possession dates, very, very similar, but one has a $20,000 deposit and the other one has a $2,000 deposit, which offer looks more serious? The $20,000 one does, because that client is saying, hey, this is how much we're willing to commit to this deal right now. For most folks, if you lost $2,000 out of your bank account tomorrow, yeah, it would suck, but life would go on. Whereas if you woke up and $20,000 was missing from your bank account, it would have a much larger impact. So it's kind of one way to look at it. When it comes to the rest of the money, your total down payment, the amount you're taking for a mortgage, can also be written out on the offer as well. And this can be at your advantage if you're putting down a very large down payment. Say you're purchasing a home for $500,000 and you have $350,000 in the bank that you're willing to put down. You're really only taking a mortgage for $150,000. It's a good idea to write that out on the offer so that when the seller looks at it, they go, oh wow, this is almost a cash offer, right? This person is putting a $20,000 deposit, they're putting $350,000 down, they're taking out a very small mortgage. From a financial perspective, this offer looks very strong. This gives the seller the comfort of knowing that you're financially prepared to move forward with the transaction. The next main component about the offer is the possession date. So this is the date that you, as the buyer, would take ownership of the home and be able to start moving in. Now, the seller most times will have a preferred possession date. Now, it's critical that you try to line up with their preferred possession date as much as possible, right? Sometimes buyers will say, nope, I'm not moving in until August 1st. Well, if their preferred possession is June 1st, there's a very high chance that they're not gonna wait 2 months unless your offer is really, really good. If it's $20,000 higher than all the other ones, well then, hey, you know what? Maybe they'll wait 2 months. But if they wanna move out June 1st, you should try to get as close to that date as absolutely possible. This is where we're talking about friction, right? We want to eliminate friction with the sellers. If they say possession to be June 1st and you write June 1st, they look at that, check it off, awesome. Lines up with what they want, zero problems here. Right now we move on to the next one. Now we're on to the conditions section. If your purchase price is good, this is normally the section that is going to make or break your offer. Now, to keep things competitive and keep your offer looking really good, you want to have as few conditions as possible. But that's not to say that you have to purchase a home blindly. A lot of the conditions can actually be satisfied to your content prior to writing the offer, and that goes back to preparing for the market, right? Remember when we talked about figuring out your home inspection company, figuring out a tradesperson, talking to the bank and getting your finances figured out? This is where all of that starts to pay dividends. The finance condition is by far the most common condition. When we're in the market that we're in here in Manitoba, it's common for the banks to ask for an appraisal on the purchase of a house just to make sure that the amount that you're paying for it is actually worth that much. You need to remember that when you get pre-approved by the bank, they're pre-approving you, your income, your debts, that sort of thing, but they need to sign off on the house as well. So when you purchase your house, the bank is highly likely to want an appraisal just to make sure that you're spending $450,000 on a house, list price was $399. We want to make sure, we being the bank, wants to make sure that the house is worth $450,000. If you write an unconditional offer or an offer that doesn't have a finance condition, but you're still taking a mortgage, you are running a risk of running into trouble down the road. If you're only putting 5% down on a home and you're purchasing it for above list price, now the bank may have signed off on you for the pre-approval, but remember, they haven't signed off on the house. So if they send an appraiser in and the appraiser does not like the price that you paid for this house, then you're gonna be in a bit of a pickle because your offer is firm. You're contractually obligated to buy that house, but the bank might not give you the mortgage now. So you either need to be able to come up with the money to fill that gap from whatever they say it's worth to what you are looking to pay for it, meaning you're gonna have to increase your down payment, or you could potentially be sued by the seller if you can't close on the deal. So again, going back to preparing, it is super critical that you talk to your mortgage expert, you find out how much you can afford, and that you talk to them about whether or not you can actually write without a finance condition. When writing a finance condition, the amount of time that we're giving ourselves to satisfy it is the most important part about it. So every condition on an offer to purchase has a deadline. Now, in order to meet that deadline, we need to know how much time to ask for. So this goes back to the preparing, speaking with your mortgage expert. They will tell you how much time they need to process your application once your offer's been accepted. So for example, if we're writing on a house on a Tuesday and your mortgage expert has said that they need 48 hours to process your application, so that means we can say on our offer that we will satisfy our financing condition by end of day Thursday. right? That's 2 days. That gives your banker enough time, and that looks really good on our offer. If another offer, if all parts are equal, and they say we need until Friday to satisfy our condition, chances are you're going to beat that other offer, okay? So knowing that ahead of time is super important. It's just another reason to get that pre-approval done right away so that you know this information, because if you're coming into an offer on Tuesday and you haven't started your pre-approval yet, we're gonna have to ask for a lot more time to get that condition satisfied. We'll probably have to wait till Monday or Tuesday, and chances are it's just not gonna be fast enough to beat out the other offers that we're going up against. The next common condition is the home inspection. Now, I love home inspections. I think they are a great idea. I think that everyone should get a home inspection on every house they buy. Sadly, if you write this condition on your offer in a multiple offer situation, very, very small chance you're gonna win. It's probably gonna kill your deal. And now, why is that? A home inspection takes all the power from the seller and puts it onto the buyer. So if you have your home inspection guy come in and they go through the house and they don't find a single thing wrong with it, which I've never seen before, but if they find nothing wrong with the house, you can still walk away from the deal. It gives you the ability to walk away from the deal for any reason. So if you write the offer on the Tuesday and you say, we'll have our home inspection satisfied by end of day Thursday, that gives you 48 hours basically to have buyer's remorse, to decide, you know what, to maybe look at other houses. I like this house better. I'm gonna use my home inspection, I'm gonna walk away from this deal. So that should shed some light onto why sellers will not pick an offer that has a home inspection attached to it, just because it takes all their power away and gives you more time to think things through and really just, have the final say. Now, that being said, there are still ways for you to get a home inspection done without having to have it as a condition on your offer, right? So this is going back to preparing again. Prepare, prepare, prepare. We said, get in touch with a good home inspection company, get to know them, have them on speed dial, because we can do what's called a pre-inspection. Now, again, this also comes back to the fact that you should be looking at homes as soon as you can. As soon as they come to market, go and look at it. Because if it's the one, you're gonna wanna get that home inspection guy in there ASAP. Now, their schedules are busy. Sometimes they won't be able to make it for 3 or 4 days, and you wanna make sure that you have time to get them in there before offer day. So have them on speed dial, see the house quickly, call them for a home inspection, get them to walk through the house before you write your offer. Now, make sure you like the house, because this is gonna cost you money. Home inspections can range anywhere between $500 to $1,500 and above, depending on the type of service that you get. So make sure you really like the house, make sure that you're prepared to write a really strong offer on it, and then get your home inspection in there, get it done beforehand. You'll know of any defects or anything from that report that might make you change your mind before you write your offer. The next condition that we're going to talk about is the subject to the sale of your house. This is a total deal killer in a multiple offer situation. So you own a home right now, you want to buy a new one. The bank says that you can't buy this one until you sell this one. So on your offer, you say, I'm willing to give you X amount of dollars, I'll match your possession date, finance condition by 48 hours from now, but I also need to sell my home, okay? So the reason that this is a killer condition is because you're asking the seller to not firm up a deal anytime soon, right? It's conditional on you selling your home first. And if it takes you 3 weeks to sell your home, that means that their home isn't sold for 3 more weeks until you can remove that condition. Once you sell your home, then you can satisfy that condition, and then the deal becomes firm, and then that house is sold. In multiple offer situations, chances are you're going up against other offers that don't have this condition. Therefore, the seller's just gonna pick one that firms up a lot sooner, gets the deal done for them, and they can move on with their lives. They don't have to wait for you to sell your house. So what can you do if you're in a situation where you have to sell your house? Well, there's a couple things that you can do. Number one, you can sell your house first. If you have friends or family where you can go and stay for a little while. You can put your stuff in storage. You can sell your house first, and then you can move forward offering on homes without having to have that subject to sale condition. Now, there's a lot of benefits to doing this if you can, because in our wild market, chances are, as a seller, you're going to take advantage of the multiple offer situation from the seller side of it. So while your realtor might say, hey, we're going to list your house for $349,000, that house could sell for $400 or $425. It's not guaranteed, but it could. So if your house sells way above list price, now you've got some extra money. Well, maybe you have enough money now to look in a bit of a higher price range. Maybe you can have some of the things that you didn't think you could afford with your old budget. So if you can sell your house first, that makes things so much easier. There's less stress, there's less things to do, and then you can move forward with a more concrete financial situation. Unfortunately, not everyone has a place to go or can put their things in storage and sell their house first. So if you're in a situation where that's not an option for you, and you have to have that subject to sale on your offer, there's some things that you can do. You're gonna probably have to remove yourself from multiple offer situations. You're gonna have to look at homes that have either gone past their offer date, meaning their offer date came and went, they didn't get multiple offers, and it does happen, or homes that come to market that don't have an offer date, right? Where you can go in and you can write those conditions on your offer and you have a chance of getting that accepted. Now, the thing to know about the subject to sale is even if a seller accepts that condition, they're going to attach what is called a time clause to it. Now, a time clause is normally set around 48 hours, and that means that they can keep the house that you want to buy on the market, they can continue to show it, and they can continue to entertain offers. Now, if someone comes a knocking, presents an offer that they like, they can invoke the time clause, which basically gives you 48 hours to sell your house or waive that subject to sale condition. And if you don't, they're gonna sell that house to somebody else. Personally, I've been on the other end of that. It sucks. It's not a lot of fun, but it is the reality. So do everything you can to avoid the subject to sale condition if at all possible. If not, your realtor can help you create a strategy that still gives you the opportunity to get a house in this crazy market and still get everything you're looking for. So if you have to write a conditional offer, what can you do to make yourself stand out? You can make sure that all your dates align with what the seller wants, right? Make sure that possession is as close to theirs as possible. Put down a nice solid deposit, right? Show that you're serious about purchasing this house. Send your pre-approval letter with your offer. Show them, hey, we've already been to the bank. We're pre-approved with RBC or CIBC or whoever it is. We've already been to the bank. We're giving you a nice deposit. The other thing to do is send the deposit check with the offer, okay? Right now, offers are being emailed back and forth, and while that's very convenient, there's nothing better than opening an offer from the seller's side of the table and seeing a physical check attached to the offer, right? Because that means like it's in my hands. As a listing agent, as a seller, that check is here, we have it, excellent. If an offer is emailed, a lot of times they'll have a note on the contract that says the deposit is to be provided within 24 hours. So send that deposit check if you can. Put it in the envelope. And then you do a compassion letter. Okay, so this is something that some agents will laugh at. They'll say it's a big waste of time, but honestly, I have seen it work wonders on the selling side of things. Write a letter. Introduce yourself to the seller, because all they see is a offer to purchase with a bunch of numbers on it. They have no idea who you are, right? Write a nice letter. Include some photos if you want to. Hi, my name's Jane. My husband's name is Henry. We love your house. Everything you've done with it is fantastic. We wouldn't change a thing. The living room to the kitchen area, we can totally see our kids playing there. We can see Christmas morning, really pull on the heartstrings, right? Do that kind of stuff. Tell them, praise them for the way that they've maintained the home, right? I have seen people literally cry reading compassion letters, and more times than not, it can help your offer stand out, even if it has a condition that otherwise may have just been tossed aside, right? If you have to write a conditional offer, do everything else that you can to make yours look great, right? So, big deposit, send the check with it, line up possession dates, write a compassion letter. And then there's other little things that you can do as well. You know, recently on a house that we won and we were up against 13 other offers, we wrote, you know, the buyer will pay the seller's legal fees up to X amount of dollars. That was a big help. Nobody wants to pay the lawyer, right? But you know, if you can afford $1,500 or $1,000 or $500 or whatever it is, write that on there. We'll pay your legal fees for you, up to $1,500 if you choose our offer. Is getting the house worth it? Then if it's worth an extra $1,500, put it in there, right? Other than that, I mean, like, you know, write your conditions that you need to write, but keep them as short as possible. Avoid home inspections on the offer, but get them done ahead of time. And then avoid the subject to sale if at all possible. If it's not possible, then, you know, tailor your strategy to help you look at homes where multiple offers are less common. But if you have to, do everything else. Make the big deposit. Like I said, write the check, line up the dates, make things as easy for the seller as possible.